Raw and real with Abby. I cut my own hair a couple of days ago. Yep. Watched a few YouTube videos because I'm an expert on YouTube videos. I did a whole thing where I tried to give myself curls in my hair by doing a beach wave perm. Now for context, my bestie is a hairdresser and has been my hairdresser for most of my life. And she told me it wouldn't work, but I didn't believe her. And I went ahead and did the whole process only on part of my hair because I wasn't going to stuff the whole thing up. Anyway, it didn't work. I was very disappointed because it took ages and ages and ages. I was extremely disappointed. I really believed it. And it's funny because you believe, well, I believe things quite easily. It's made me a bit more discerning, but I think I did all right with my hair. I got a little bit of a bob. My hair was in really bad condition because I had dyed it and made mistakes. Because when I was in Chile, their hair, this is weird. All over the world, in different countries, say Japan has a different hair structure, it grows differently. Same in Chile, same in Australia, or Caucasians, different ethnicities have different hair, like African Americans. And I've never really thought of it, but the way their hair colours is different. So when I was in Chile, I bought dyes that responded to the same numbers as what I would buy here, and it did not respond the same to my hair. And my hair turned a bit, like I've got here, a bit purpley. So I used a colour remover, and that was difficult to get because the majority of people in Chile have dark black hair. When I first started going out, and I didn't go out often, I mean, I was in hermit mode, but I think I stayed there 2 months and I left the building 5 times. And when I went to the shops, people were staring at me, and I am pretty paranoid about, well, I'm anxious, socially anxious, and then having people stare at you. I was like, do I have snot out of my nose or something? Anyway, there was like a 7-story escalator that, how would you say it, was like Z figuration. So when you look up, there's one that goes that way, one that goes this way, and there were 3 people to every stair. It was packed all the time, and I was quite hesitant in jumping on the escalator. Anyway, I jump on the escalator and I look up, and then I realize, hey, every single person here has black hair, and mine was quite a lot blonder than this, and that's why people were looking at me. Anyway, my hair turned a different colour and I had to strip it, and I did that I think 2 times. So I dyed it, stripped it, dyed it, stripped it, and I think it fried my hair a little. It's still a little bit not so great, but I just went and cut it all off, and I did this thing that they told me to do on YouTube, where you part it down the middle, part it down the back, and you tie it in a little pony at your ear, which I did, and then you cut where the elastic is. I think I'm a little bit uneven. I think this side's a little bit longer, but I actually don't mind. I don't care. I'm still trying to get used to it. I feel a bit like, I don't know, like my face is fat or something, and that I've got a massive forehead because I think I'm going bald. Anyway, but it worked. I did it, and I didn't cry or anything because I was like, wow, look what I did. And it feels like it looks a little bit healthier. I filmed it, but it's on a different phone. So I might upload that later and show the technique if you're wanting to get into the home hairdressing situation that I have. Yeah, it's not, and it's really quite funny that my hair was looking quite blonde, and here with the grey, and it was quite luminously grey, like icy grey, so I mixed a couple of blondes. I think I've used too much of a violet blonde, but I must just go back and use just a normal blonde. But it's funny when you do your roots, how it reflects down to the base of your hair and makes that look like it's a different colour, even though you've only dyed this root part. I find that pretty fascinating. So yeah, that's what I did. Cut my own hair. Getting ready to live on the land by myself with my little Chi-Chi. Enjoying the morning. Mentally, where am I? Up and down really badly. I feel like I've spent 2.5 years. I can't say I've wasted my life, because that would be disrespectful to the world and to God. But I honestly feel like I still wake up a lot of the time with this feeling in my stomach of complete and utter grief that I am not married anymore and that my husband left. Like, this pit in my stomach is debilitating. And I know I have to get to a point where I need to accept it to be able to move on properly. But it is grief, and grief can last for so long. And I feel I'm dragging myself down with it. And I probably affect other people with it. But I don't know how to get through it quicker, other than being hypomanic, which isn't healthy for anyone. Except I have a good time. Well, I think I do. And in reality, I'm a space cadet. But enjoying myself at the same time. And then comes the fall, which is the deepest, darkest place you could ever be. I do understand, I never did understand, but I do understand how people who have hypomania don't want to take medication to come down, to be like at a normal level, because often you will, I don't know, I'm not a psychiatrist, but maybe you will sink to a depressive episode. And I don't know if hypomania is sustainable. I haven't researched it enough, because I've only just come to the conclusion, or come to the agreement that this is what actually happens to me. It has never happened quite to the degree. I don't think it's never even happened before my husband left. I went off my chops. I had a lot of, and the reason why I think initially people didn't know that it was hypomania, it's actually expected, I guess, when you've been with someone for 30 years, that when they leave, you're going to go through a bit of a period of change, and want to find yourself, and that's what I did. I wanted to find myself, so I went to the farthest place in the world and tried to find myself and be completely opposite to what I am in my normal status, because I felt like to be accepted by the world or by anyone else, and I was seeking love or a relationship, because that's where I settle most and feel comfortable. And I did everything different to what I've ever done, because I thought, well, clearly who I was isn't right, because he left after 30 years. And so then, therefore, I must be different. I must change myself to be acceptable to anyone else. Because if I can't be acceptable to someone that I had known from 12 years of age and for 40 years, who I thought deep in my heart was my best friend, how will I be acceptable to a complete and utter stranger? So therefore, I must change. And change I did. Not extremely. I just stopped being afraid of the world in a way. Stopped caring what people thought. I had no responsibility. Well, I thought I had no responsibility. I had responsibility at home, but I just walked away from that in the most selfish of ways, but it was a self-preservation. And I lived in a hotel, I think, for 2 months. It was a boutique hotel. I became friends with all the staff. We would have McDonald's at 2 a.m. in the bar, down in reception. Not in the bar. The bar wasn't open. I have never drunk alcohol for like 7 years, but I would just chat. I made friends. I still am in contact with them. They were so lovely and so grounding for me, and I did feel like I needed a support system that would surround me and keep me safe, and they did. And whether or not it was because I was a paying customer doesn't actually matter to me, because what they were giving me felt authentic. They even invited me to a staff party because they'd reached their KPIs, and they had champagne and pizza, and I don't think they'd ever done that before with a guest. And the manager learnt his speech in English so that I would understand, and it was so beautiful, and I felt really valued. It was very kind, very, very kind. I still had, I wasn't game enough to just go out and go on the streets by myself, mainly because everyone was telling me that you can't go out by yourself, like it's not safe. And I didn't realize that just because I was a white woman traveling by myself, that I'm perceived by everyone as being wealthy, no matter what the wealth, because you're traveling by yourself and you're traveling. Like, they are extremely, I don't want to say poor, the majority of people live in major low socio-economical areas, like almost, I don't want to say slums because that's so derogative, but really, really old and poor conditions. So there are opportunities, and they've had a massive influx of people from surrounding countries migrating in, illegal immigrants, and there would be a shooting every week that I didn't know about because I don't listen to any mainstream news, but I would find out in the Uber. And cocaine is rife. I think I've never had cocaine, and I still don't get what a gram looks like, but For a gram of cocaine in Santiago, it is $10 in comparison to like $440 in Australia. One taxi driver told me that his friends moved out to Australia and had to come home after a certain amount of time because they couldn't afford to have their cocaine. And obviously if it's $10, and it's $50 for this, for like this, it's $50 for the same I don't know, same amount, or what would get you high on marijuana would be $50 compared to $10 of cocaine, which says that there is a massive cocaine problem in South America. I think I might be talking out of turn here, but I think, is it Venezuela? No. There's another country that's taken over from Colombia for the cocaine. There are a lot of illegal immigrants, and that's where it could get dicey for me. So I was planning on moving to Chile, making an eco village or eco cabins. There's really beautiful parts to Chile, very beautiful parts, but the infrastructure is pitiful. Even in a really nice 5-star hotel, the electricity would go out and you couldn't use the lift if there was a storm. And it was eye-opening in the fact that we take these things for granted, that our infrastructure is so well thought out, well planned. Very rarely do we lose power. Their internet is dismal at times. Phone reception. So here I was going to travel by myself in a van. And look, when I was traveling, and I was traveling with a guy, and I was going through places, I was thinking, there is no way on God's green earth that I could have navigated this by myself, because I would not have believed that this was a highway or a way to get anywhere, because it was like being in the outback bush with no signs on how to get anywhere, and then your Google Maps drops out and you're driving. Sometimes you're driving down a street that looks like a suburban street, and they have these deity things on the sides of the road that if someone dies, it looks like a Catholic crypt, and you honestly go, oh, am I going the right way here? I'm driving through the suburbs to get to this eco village or wherever we were going. So I'm glad I had someone that was with me, because I would not have coped. And also trying to decipher things in Spanish, I lose my rag. I'm so bad at trying to retain the information and remember how to say even, can I have a sandwich? And I don't know whether it's because I was hypomania and smoking weed, why I couldn't remember anything, but I think that might have helped. Might not have helped. I think that might have helped the situation that I couldn't remember. Not helped, made the situation. So anyway, I don't even know how I'm getting onto this today. I'm just talking to my phone. But yeah, I do. Oh, that's right. It was about the whole fact that I just completely wanted to change my complete and utter self, which I'm not sure is sustainable. I'd like to give it another crack, that's for sure. Although when it's happening, it is like I'm looking at myself from above, like going, Who are you? And I actually thought that that was the way. I thought I would never come back, that I would just run off into the distance and I would never ever return. Because the thought of returning and facing what I have to face, and I'm still facing, and I'm not doing a very good job at facing that, although I'm trying my best, running away felt safe, felt easier, and I could just block my head and think and not think about what was happening back here, as if it didn't ever happen. And weirdly, you know those people that disappear, like, I don't know, Olivia Newton-John's husband, whether he disappeared or whatever, whether he fell off a boat or whatever the thing is. I understand why people do that. Of course, I couldn't realistically do that because I have 2 adult sons that are my life, but I also felt like how I was in my life at that time, and still in this time, right now, I'm dragging them down into my pain and filth. And that is hard to cope with. Very hard to cope with. Anyway, I got ordered by the court to come home, and I did. But I went back another 2 times. Oh, gosh. And one of the times I even ended up in Rapa Nui, Easter Island, one of the most remotest parts of the world. And let me tell you, being in one of the most remotest parts of the world is isolating. I don't have access. That you think that Santiago had problems with electricity, internet, food, fresh food. I hope you like tuna and pineapples. Things are different, totally different, and I was really naive. And coming from a particularly beautiful part of the world and a really safe, secure, politically, well, I don't know because I don't watch mainstream news, but I feel it's politically safe. Certainly we have crime, but it's not as systemic as what it is in other places. Not that Rapa Nui was filled with crime, but it was isolating, really. Well, it was the farthest. I mean, I thought I could just live on an island like that. And maybe if they had a Aldi there, I could have maintained it. And Google Maps worked. Instead of trying to drive a car, I drove a manual car on the other side of what I'm used to. So I was using the gear stick with my right hand, and I actually found it more comfortable, believe it or not. I did stall in the middle of the road 2 times, and I was just like, hey, Blondie here. They were really, really nice. They just would laugh. One thing is, though, I couldn't use Australian dollars, and it's all that I had. So I was thinking, holy moly, what am I going to do? I think I found my debit card and I was able to get money out of the bank, but it was hard yakka trying to find out how to do that. So if you're ever going to Rapa Nui, take American dollars or have your debit card hooked up, but they whack you with conversion rates. It's big time, and I think you can only take like $150 out at a time. So you get charged, say, $10 to take $150 out, and then you do that a couple of times. It's a big amount of money. So I guess I can't run away. The thought has crossed my mind a lot lately. I don't know where I would go. I don't know how I would go at the moment. and isolating myself, which I do isolate myself in a way, but I also have support systems that I can reach out to very easily. And I thought that I do well as a hermit. I've always been kind of like a hermit, but I did well as a hermit when I had a husband who would come home and, fill me in on the world outside and talk to me every day and lay beside me every day and be part of my life every day. So not having that is jarring. I don't want that. I don't want my husband back. I want the person I thought he was back, but he was never that person, I don't think. So yeah, I don't want him back. I don't know what I want. I don't know how I would function with a person in my life every day. And I sure as heck have to get a bit more stabilized in my life and finish my divorce property settlement stuff so that focus can go and I can start working out what I want to do with my life. Even though I feel as old as the Bible, and losing someone that I grew up with, whilst we weren't close since my engagement party, you know how the friends that you make at school, like in your childhood, it might be a 5 or 6 or 10 year period, but that period feels so long. And I think it's because you have this incredible growth of being like a younger child to a semi-adult, where you don't go through as many age changes or maturity changes, other than probably getting a job and having children. And therefore it feels like those people were in your life or had such a big influence on your life and your memories. And plus, when you had them in your life should or is far less complicated. My group of friends had very complicated lives, which none of us ever talked about or told each other until very, very late, like 35 or something. But having her disappear from the earth through, I would say, loneliness took her. She drank alcohol to obviously function or be able to think she could function in the world, and that took her life. She was 54 years old. It is so tragic and sad, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it because I feel so low sometimes that I wonder why I'm still on earth. But for someone who can say that, I've tried so hard to stay alive. I've done so much treatment. I've been in hospital so many times. I've had electric shock treatment, and people go, whoa, is that even still around? And I begged for that because I don't like feeling like this. I want to feel like I want to be here. I want to be part of my life. But it's my thoughts, my cancerous thoughts that are sick, that get too much. and make me feel so bad. And I hate to think that she was going through all of that to such a degree that it killed her. Her use of alcohol killed her, and the fact that she was in a hospice for 3 weeks, and I think I didn't know we hadn't communicated for a long time. Well, text message here and there. When my marriage broke up, she contacted me and stuff, but I wonder if I had have known, I would have definitely gone there, because we could have just reminisced about the funniest things that we did as kids. I remember talking to her and saying I'm thinking of moving to New Zealand and building a house on one of the beautiful lakes there. In one of my ideas of what I can do, I really want to build a house one day again. And she said something to me, I didn't know she was going through this pain, and she said something like, "Oh, please do, and we can sit around and laugh like we were kids, talk about all the funny things we did. It would be so wonderful." And I could have done that 3 weeks with her. It's an opportunity that's gone. So that is Raw and Real with Abby. And I know life is a gift, and I don't want to waste it. But I find it really hard to live. And I let things and perceived problems drag my thoughts down. And none of us can control what happens in our life. We can micro control, think we've got some sort of handle on things, and of course, if we thought we couldn't handle anything, we'd all lose our shit. But I don't even know what I want to control, or how I want to control it, or what I want to do when I grow up. I only ever wanted to be a wife and mother. Such a lame not desire, a lame career path. I mean, I'm always going to be a mother, but not in the way that I was when my kids were young. That intensive, consuming, amazing way. And the opportunity to be a wife now has gone. And for the better, in hindsight, because I would have still lived in a unhappy situation because I hate change. But getting used to the change has been hell. I'm 2.5 years in, and it is still a surprise to me sometimes. And I think about running away to a monastery or an ashram and just finding myself, finding who I am at the core of myself, because people say, you have to learn to love yourself. Well, how do I do that? How do I learn to love myself? What does that even fucking mean? because I feel like I won't be happy until I find someone to spend my life with and love. That's just the reality of it. And apparently that's not what you should do. That's called it's got a name. It's called not cohabitation, codependency. Apparently codependency. Fuck, I reckon 90% of the population are codependent, and the other 40% of the population, the numbers don't add up, but that's okay. 40% of the population are narcissists and couldn't give a shit about anyone else. And do they love themselves? Maybe. Could they even be that deep that they could love themselves? Who knows? But that's my TED Talk for the morning. I hope you enjoyed it. Please join me again if you have any other questions or comments. Please comment. Tell me how you're doing. Tell me how you cope. Tell me what your day looks like. My days look long, and I have to say that my anxiety is getting less, so it is allowing me more peace in my long day, because when I have the anxiety, the days feel like years. So that's something I have to be grateful for. And my friend told me that she definitely can hear and see a difference in me where I don't see those small changes. And that's why I did my original podcast, I Don't Want to Be Called Karen Anymore, and I haven't listened to it yet. I have 75 episodes on Spotify. It is actually now called Raw. I have changed the name to Raw and Real with Abby, because they are one and the same, obviously. And don't be confused, because a lot of them will say, welcome to the podcast, I don't want to be called Karen anymore. But the reason I did that is so that I can go back when I'm well enough to reflect and see the changes, and maybe utilize that in teachings in my future to help other people, to show them, hey, listen, this was me, and now this is me. Now this is me on stage doing a TED Talk to all of you, to show you that this can actually improve and life is worth living. Wouldn't that be nice? To be able to inspire other people to feel like living. That would be great. I'd love to do that. So I am going to sit here and have my morning coffee with my puppies, with this little one curled up in a neat little pile. She is sassy as. And I'll call my parents soon. Weirdly, they like me to call them every day. It's not weird that they like me to call them, but nothing changes for me at the moment. And they just want to feel that I'm alive. Like, I thought of it the other day, and I thought the stress that must be for my parents, because if I had to wait for a phone call from my kids every day to say they're still alive, I feel selfish and awful that they wait for my phone call.